Hi everybody. I wanted to read you the second chapter of this book on Grief and Grieving by Elisabeth Kübler-Ross and David Kessler. It's called The Inner World of Grief, Your Loss. An unimaginable, undescribable loss has taken place. It has inflicted a wound so deep that numbness and excruciating pain are the material of which it is made. Everyone experiences many losses throughout life, but the death of a loved one is unmatched for its emptiness and profound sadness. Your world stops. You know the exact time your loved one died, or the exact moment you were told. It is marked in your mind. Your world takes on a slowness, a surrealness. It seems strange that the clocks in the world continue when your inner clock does not. That is very true. Your life continues, but you're not sure why. A different life appears before you, one in which your loved one will no longer be physically present. No one can give you words to make you feel better. There are none. You will survive, though you may not be sure how, or even if you want to. That is very true. Your loss and the grief that accompanies it are very personal, different from everyone else's. Others may share the experience of their losses, but they may try to concede you in the only way they know. But your loss stands alone in its meaning to you, in its painful uniqueness. When you compare losses, someone else's may seem greater or lesser than your own, but all losses are painful. If you lost a husband at 70, there will be someone who lost a husband at 48. If you lost a parent at 12, there will be someone who lost their parent at 5 years old or at 15 years. Losses are very personal, and comparisons never apply. No loss counts more than another. It is your loss that counts for you. It is your loss that affects you. Your loss is deep and deserves your personal attention without comparison. You are the only one who can survey the magnitude of your loss. No one will ever know the meaning of what you shared, the deepness of the void that shadows your future. You alone know your loss. Only you can fully appreciate the depth of the physical relationship that has ended. We all play many roles in our lives. Spouse, parent, child, family member, friend. You knew your loved one in a way that no one else ever did or ever will. One person's dying touches many people in many different ways. Everyone feels that loss individually. Your task in your own mourning and grieving to fully recognize your own loss, to see it as only you can, and paying the respect and taking the time it deserves. You bring integrity to the deep loss that is yours. Please don't mind my children in the back. They're busy playing with their cars and trucks. They're having fun. Probably like a typical Sunday morning for young children. Relief. For many, a strange and unexpected feeling sits amid the loss. A feeling of relief that contrasts with a pervading sadness. It feels out of place, out of step, and is often considered wrong. Why would you feel a sense of relief at the loss of someone so close and so dear? If you feel relief, it may be because your loved one was suffering, and you are grateful it has ended. Watching or even thinking about a loved one suffering places a heavy pain on top of the sadness. But of course you wanted her to live long, fully, and well. But that was not an option. I can relate to this. It is not with another human being, but with my cat buddy. Our cat buddy, I should say. He was a family cat. And he was like a friend. He was a buddy to all of us. And in his last days, he was suffering. I forget how old he was. I want to say like 12 or 13. And I think he was having kidney problems. And it was just so hard to see him suffer. He was like falling over. He was very unsteady, very weak. And by the time we brought him to the vet to be put down, he was basically on his last leg. And after he was put to sleep, even though it was very sad, I felt a sense of relief that he was no longer in pain. That cat did not deserve it. No animals deserve to be in pain. But yeah. And the peace that I felt after he passed was immense. It was like beautiful. But of course I was still sad. I was still grieving. So, like I said, it wasn't with another human being, but I grew close to this cat. I loved him. It is her endless suffering you wanted to end, which is why you feel somewhat relieved that she is dead. Hence the confusion, the relief and sadness mixed together in a situation that has no resolve. When this occurs, your relief is the recognition that the suffering has ended. The pain is over. The disease no longer lives. Your loved one no longer has that illness, that disease. It has stopped causing her pain. Your relief may be in proportion to the amount and length of suffering. For example, when President Ronald Reagan died from Alzheimer's disease, I did not know that. He had been suffering for close to a decade. Nancy, his wife, was deeply saddened and allowed her loss to be viewed by the world. Many people, including some family members, talked about the relief they felt now that his suffering was over. He had seen so many years of pain with no quality of life, and all they could do was watch him decline. At the end of that, anyone would be relieved. For those who did not experience a long, drawn-out death, however, the task of separating the relief from the loss becomes even more difficult. There is the relief of knowing your loved one is no longer suffering. There is the reality that neither are you. Suffering is a family affair, and everyone endures it together. In grief, we often have a deep well of different emotions occurring at the same time, which is what makes grief confusing. We don't have to choose which emotion is right or wrong. We can feel each emotion as it occurs and understand that relief is not disloyalty, but rather a sign of deep love. Wow. That right there is very deep. Holy cow, that really got to me. Relief plays out in many ways. It may occur for you when you finally get all the medical equipment out of the house. But while you transform the room from a makeshift hospital room to a bedroom once again, the subsequent emptiness will create a new pain. The day you go back to work may feel like a guilty pleasure, as you feel the relief of returning to your work life as you knew it before the tragedy. But then 4:30 p.m. hits and you realize you will be going home to an empty house. Even when you are happy to see your friends again and laugh at their jokes, the relief is mixed with sadness and maybe guilt. It is important to understand that it is not unusual to feel relief, even in the midst of the sadness. This is a normal reaction and not a reason to feel guilty. The relief you feel is the calm after the storm. Losses they're horrible. It sucks. But the short time that I read this book, and I'm glad I was able to share some of it with you guys, it's helped me a lot. Hope you all have a good Sunday. God bless.